A blustery, bouncing blue European night at Goodison and a final check on the teams. Everton, Tim Howard passed the late fitness test and keeps goal. Joseph Yobo didn't. Phil Jagielka fills in at centre-half. Leighton Baines returns at full-back for the first time since October. James McFadden figures for the first time this the international break. Andy Johnson starts for the first time since September. Zenit don't play again till February, so it's a last day at work selection from Dick Advocaat. 3 of the Russian internationals who did for England. Remember, they are the newly crowned champions. Referee, a 38-year-old Icelander, Kristin Jakobsen, probably the biggest game of his fledgling career at this level. So, avoid defeat tonight and Everton secure themselves European football on the business side of Christmas for the first time since they triumphed in Europe nearly a generation ago. And in this ground you feel a real appetite for this. Jim Beglin was employed on the other side of Stanley Park at a time when Liverpool and Everton were indisputably the best 2 teams in the land, and Jim, I think you sense for the first time really since those halcyon days in the 80s, Everton are ready for nights like this.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was a great Everton side, Peter, in the mid-80s. I love those derby games, fond memories, but I think this current Everton side, you know, has a bit to go, but they've added craft to the graft.
And Pinar has played it in, Arteta is attacking it, and it is Kim the Korean who sticks it over his own crossbar.
I mean, this side is now expressing itself. There's flair, there's good possession now with this Everton side, and I think this is the kind of night when you've got to get crosses in. Swirling wind, difficult for defenders to judge, and you can unsettle a goalkeeper.
Win tonight and Europe stops being an adventure for Everton and becomes a real opportunity. Here is Arteta, their little Spanish magician, driving one at the near post, where it is met by Anatoly Timoshuk, perhaps the best known player in the Zenit St. Petersburg side. A Champions League veteran from Shakhtar Donetsk. Long throw from Neville, flicked on by Lescott, came out to Carsley, and finally cleared again by Timoshuk. Advocaat is taking a while to settle, or has done, on the bench, which is very low down here at Goodison, and I gather from our people on the touchline he wasn't too happy with where he was seated. You'll know him best for his exploits in Holland and of course in Glasgow with Rangers. He's since been in charge of South Korea as well. Aimed in at McFadden, hoisted away by Skirtel. And Everton is starting Jim on the front foot as they would have wanted.
Yeah, honestly, I think the wind is a big factor tonight, and I think you've got to get as much ball into the box as you can, because misjudgments will be made, mistakes will happen.
Attacking the Gladys Street end in front of their noisiest fans. McFadden with the throw. It's a very twitchy clearance, and the goalkeeper came, and Kim took it away from the line after Arteta had levered it goalward. Uncertain defending from Lomberts.
I mean, clearly Everton have addressed this before the game. I think Arteta's is brilliantly to get there, and I think that's fantastic defending from Kim.
Cyril. And wide by Shavin for Kim's disappointing cross. He is a part of the evidence that his current coach Advocaat has been out to Asia and coached South Korea at the last World Cup. He didn't have the same success with that country as his predecessor Hiddink.
But that's what I mean about defenders. They're going to be unsure about, you know, how to read it coming through the air. They will get things wrong, and it would have been a hell of a start for Everton had it crept in. Kim did extremely well improvising.
Skirtle facing his own byline and under great pressure from Andy Johnson, whose appetite you would expect to be considerable. He hasn't started a game since coming off at Aston Villa on the 23rd of September. He has scored a couple of goals as a part of his recuperative process, 2 goals in an aggregate of 98 minutes spread over 3 substitute appearances since, but he's ready to be in the first 11 again.
I think Russian champions are not, Peter, as well. I think you have to test Zenit, because I know they played Nuremberg last week, but their previous game was 18 days prior. Their season's over. So you've got to test their motivation, see if they're up for it.
Whether they're very fresh or they are packing their bags to go on holiday. Hoisted in by Neville and well taken by Malafeyev, who is a Russian international goalkeeper. He played at Wembley actually when England beat Russia and was dropped after that 3-0 English win. But he has on the whole been occupying the bench recently for Zenit, but replaces Chontafalski tonight. Pienaar battling for it, through by Carsley, taken up by Johnson. Kenwright last night chaired the 128th Everton AGM. The hot topic, as you heard in our build-up to the match, is Kirby or not Kirby, to stay at Goodison or to progress and to leave. He loves the bones off this ground, as any Evertonian does. But, as we move on into the later stages of the 21st century, it doesn't provide everything that a top-notch football club needs to have these days. This is Dominguez, the Argentine. And now Arshavin, trying to play in Pogrebniak. Seen out of harm's way by Leighton Baines, another who is returning after a fairly prolonged absence from the first team tonight. Timoshuk. Shirl. Arshavin. A tackle from Neville. And if Arteta keeps this in, then he's got a fair amount of acreage ahead of him, and Andy Johnson ahead of him on the shoulder of the last defender, who was strong enough, despite the outrushing Malafeyev Skirtle, to see it away from immediate danger.
Yeah, it was the ball Arteta had to give it, but Skirtle read it well.
Arteta playing it in, skidded all the way across. Anyukov would consider himself fortunate that he didn't get a touch there.
That's a great ball over the top, Arteta, good spot. Skirtle's read it well, and that's just accidental. I mean, I know the crowd were appealing for something, but his momentum has just taken him into the goalkeeper and harmless.
So the goalkeeper looked a little unsure. His decision-making doesn't look entirely certain.
No, well, Timoshuk's just had a little chat with him. I wouldn't say it was an argument just yet, but it's exactly what you want to see from the away side. You know, unsure about things, discussing things, trying to sort it out.
Pienaar, McFadden, Baines. It scoops up kindly for Malafeyev.
And it all means Everton are doing well, and this guy is probably busier than he expected to be in the early part of the game. Malafeyev.
He's played actually less than one UEFA Cup game this season, Malafeyev. The very first one he started but didn't finish because of injury. Stayed by Neville. Arshavin is one of the danger men. Too potent. It was actually his shot which Paul Robinson pushed out for Roman Pavlyuchenko to score against England on that plastic in Moscow. David Moyes, of course, a young man playing for Celtic once upon a time, and tonight up against a treble-winning coach from Rangers. Jagielka. Been taking it away from Arteta, who got a clean foot on that ball. Still only found Zelianov. Arshavin kept it from Jagielka, who is penalised. And this is a position of potential danger for Everton. Free kick hurriedly taken. Kim. Shirl. Horizontal header from Jagielka. Timoshuk. Skirtle. Despite the challenge of Pienaar, squeezing it out. Arshavin. Pienaar did very well to lever it up the line, and then got lucky with his second touch. And this is McFadden with Johnson in the middle, and Skirtle now committed. James McFadden couldn't find Johnson, and Lombert's the Belgian cleared.
I think you can just tell from James's McFadden reaction after doing so well for so long. I think he's disappointed with himself that he didn't find Andy Johnson.
Baines, Carsley, McFadden. Worked out okay for Zirianov. Arshavin, Pogrebniak. And let's got back to base. Oh, he's infuriated with himself because he lost his footing just before delivering that clearance, but it's turned out okay for Neville. Arteta looking to outsmart Kim, and then leading into him.
Well, it's just unfortunate, really. I think this is a bad attempt by Skirtle. It was a desperate lunge to try and get to the ball. Would have been better staying on his feet. It was just very, very timid, wasn't it? The attempt to find Andy Johnson. Needed more behind it.
Good upbeat start by Everton, though.
It's been a good game. You know, difficult conditions, but both sides are having a real go here.
Cahill, stubbed away by Lomberts. Dominguez, the Argentine. Away by Jagielka. Trying to fill in at centre back tonight. No Alan Stubbs, and later in the day, no Joseph Yobo either. Dominguez. He's a luxury player in the Zenit team. From what we've seen of them in research, Jim, it is this fellow Dominguez, who has a smart pass in his locker. He's not a big tackler, but he's a very watchable player on the ball.
No, he's not too interested in things once possession is lost, but he'll float all over the place. He's got the free roll. Pogrebniak tends to hold his position. Arshavin will drift, but particularly Dominguez. And both of those guys are playing either side of Pogrebniak at the moment. Dominguez right, Arshavin left.
Away by Skirtle, by Baines. It's a very good tackle. Well, I thought it was a very good tackle from Jagielka. His foot was high-ish.
Europe, Peter, studs up. You won't get away with that.
Cyril. St. Petersburg, the first Russian club ever to visit Everton in European competition. It's Dominguez for them. Pushed away by Baines. Dominguez again wandering, and here is Cyril. They're only partially clear, and then Cahill got a grip on it, and Arteta found one of his fancy moments. Level for Johnson.
I mean, Zenit are very, very good on the ball. You can see that now, technically, and the movements excellent. Okay, their passing is probably not as fluid as they'd like yet, but I'll be intrigued to see how Everton cope, because their unbeaten run has been built around that five in midfield with Cahill breaking. The fact that they've gone with two up front now, I just wonder whether they lose a little bit of that compactness trying to defend things.
Zirianov. By Arteta, but it came to Pogrebniak, and now Arshavin, away by Neville. Arshavin. And Baines hits it long. Moorish header by Skirtle. McFadden away from Timoshuk, prepared to take on Anyukov. Carsley, Baines, tackle of Dominguez, in for Johnson, and back by Johnson. Cahill for McFadden, Cahill again, now Pienaar.
Just looking at Cahill as Everton tried to build that last attack, Peter, and he was a little cautious compared to usual. And as I say, with the 5 in midfield, he knows he can go, and he has the backup there. Osman usually is not playing tonight, but he's just a little bit slower tonight to actually kind of, get on his bike and get forward.
That Zenit are the first Russian visitors here in club football, but they are not. In fact, the first Russian visitors to Goodison Park, it occurred to me earlier today. So there's a World Cup semi-final played here between West Germany and the USSR. The last team to score against Russians on this ground, and there's some Evertonians looking to fill famous boots here. There's no one less than Franz Beckenbauer, 41 years ago. Here's Pienaar. Dick Advocaat, who just last month was able to turn Zenit St. Petersburg into only the second non-Muscovite champions in the 16-year history of the Russian Premier League. And as a result of that, by the way, he signed a new contract with the club, having more or less promised himself to Australia for 2010 World Cup qualifying. So he was on the point of becoming Tim Cahill's international manager, but that has gone away. Here is Cahill. Neville. Cahill. Pienaar. Oh, it's a lovely thought. And a feather-like touch. It's seen by Anyukov.
Yeah, he just went for the little flick behind them, but he could have actually taken it in front of him and tried to get one in.
Dominguez. Hardly in the way of Sirianov. The unsung hero in the Everton team. The boy who gets his hands dirty, who does the unnoticed work, and who got his job done there.
Yeah, he's played superbly in this run. I think he's having the time of his life now, Lee Carsley. Did well at the end of the Euro qualifying campaign for the Republic of Ireland as well. And it's not just breaking things up. I mean, he's played his part in Everton going forward too.
Lescott's header out. Pienaar's take. Challenged unfairly from behind by Shiro.
He's on this side now as well, Pienaar. Arteta's gone the other side. They like to do that. They'll swap regularly.
It's a good ball from Neville. Pienaar. He's done well to dig out a good ball to the near post there. Johnson, in fact, ahead of his centre-half. But the delivery from the South African was just too close to the keeper. Timashuk. Dominguez. Surianov denied the space out of which to create a cross, but he has won a corner. Last off Baines. Another of those who played at Wembley and against England in Moscow, Konstantin Surianov. And Lamberts, the big Belgian, is lumbering forward for the set piece. There's quite a lot of height in this Zenit side. Header away came to Dominguez.
Just looking there's a corner came in. Who got his head on it but Tim Cahill? I mean, I watched him. I came to the Sunderland game a couple of weeks ago, the 7-1 win. He's like a magnet, either defending or attacking set pieces. He gets his head on everything. Fantastic in the air for a little fella. Great leaper.
His birthday tomorrow, he turns 28. I guess for his family it's already his birthday in Sydney. Clearance met by Lescott, through by Arshavin, danger here, Pogrebniak, away from Lescott, Dominguez, and still Dominguez, driven against Carsley, and away again by Cahill, Johnson turning, Tedder was going with him, Kim Dong-jin with the sliding challenge. McFadden, who's squeezed between the pair of them, and on the say-so of the referee's assistant, he's got himself a free kick here.
That's the beauty of McFadden. I mean, great control, and he always has a trick or two. And he was fouled. Lombert's pulled him.
See the shirts and shorts being ruffled in the breeze as Arteta and McFadden conspire. Lescott and Jagielka wait together, of course, with Cahill, who is always the most potent in these situations. McFadden playing it in. Fair on trouble. McFadden hasn't scored for a while, actually, not since his goal in the second leg of the first round tie in the Ukraine. Kim. Through by Arshavin. Pogrebniak coming back from offside, and Howard needs to be aware that Zurianov was dashing through from midfield.
That's why defenders can never really give up, because you never know what the linesman's going to do or not, and Lescott did well to stay with it, and Howard, great reaction.
Headed by Cahill. Arteta. Zurianov, Timoshuk, Dominguez. Pino handled. Who has experience in the Champions League, Stephen Pino, with Ajax. He reached the quarter-final 4 years ago. His last European goal was in the San Siro for Ajax, one memorable night when they were on the point of going through, and I think John Dahl Thomason scored in the last minute to take Milan instead of Ajax through to the semi-finals that year. One from Lescott, and the referee is going to show a card here, I think, to Pogrebniak for his very late arrival.
Yeah, he slid in, but I mean, he couldn't pull out of it, and there was no real malice in the challenge. He didn't stick his studs into Lescott or anything like that. And to be honest, both players, I thought, reacted really well to it. Lescott wasn't upset, and I think Pogrebniak's probably just saying to the referee, you could have waited a second and taken a different view of that. Yellow's harsh.
The advocate has a view on it.
Well, for your top goal scorer, I mean, you don't want him picking up yellow cards for things like that. I mean, there was no real intent in it.
As a coach, he has a perfect record, Advocat, against English clubs. But his fullback, Anyukov, is evidently in some distress here. Suspicion that Tim Cahill, Jim, isn't moving quite properly at the moment. He's keeping, as it were, a lowish profile in midfield.
Yeah, well, I mean,
trying to jog something off, I think.
He's just a huge loss if he has to go off the pitch, and not just for tonight, but in the coming games for Everton. There's a crucial spell on the horizon for them, and you want him fit and playing.
Arshavin. McFadden. Cahill. Simply outnumbered. Arshavin. Pogrebniak. by Carsley and behind by retreating Baines, who was fouled.
Yeah, the assistant actually gave a corner, but the referee overruled him.
Upcoming sport on ITV over the next few days. Big night of boxing on Saturday, of course, starts at 5 to 10 on ITV1. Amir Khan defending his Commonwealth lightweight title. Then on Sunday morning, good championship football. Charlton, our main game, against Ipswich. They had an excellent night last evening, 9:25, and a massive night in the Champions League on Tuesday next. ITV1 7:30 for Marseille against Liverpool, around which all of our regular Champions League programming, including Chelsea's game against Valencia on ITV4. Zirianov, Dominguez, Arshavin, Timoshuk, who's been sitting very deep in the Zenit midfield in the early part of the game. Kim, Dominguez, Shirl, Dominguez, Pogrebniak at the back of Lescott. It's going to be a really interesting battle, that. He's a big, almost old-fashioned English-type centre-forward, Pogrebniak. He stayed on the bench when England played Russia twice earlier this autumn. But Lescott will have his hands full there.
Yeah, and I just think that they look better on the ball from me, Zenit, and I just wonder whether the change to Everton's formation is just taken away from that little bit of possession, and I just think Zenit look clever on it now.
Pienaar, Carsley, Baines, Arteta, lovely return, Baines. Strong challenge from Shirl. Arshavin only for a touch. So Zenit St. Petersburg looking to go as far as they can in the UEFA Cup this year, but they already know, having been crowned champions of Russia just 2 or 3 weeks ago, that they will play in the Champions League next year, and that has been confirmed in Platini's plans for the future of the Champions League. The Russian champions will continue to get an automatic place, and they will. Neville plays it in, away by Skirtle.
Yeah, it's just gone a little quiet for Everton attacking-wise. They're not really getting McFadden and Andy Johnson into the game, getting them to hold it up, bring midfielders in. If Everton don't enjoy good possession like that, Peter, Cahill can't make his runs.
Does appear to have run off the problem that he had a moment or two ago. But, a terrific career he's having now, Tim Cahill. It is 10 years this autumn since he arrived at Millwall. Johnson at the back of Skirtle.
Well, he's done well. Maybe he got a shout this time from his goalkeeper Skirtle, because they've had 1 or 2 little instances where it's been unsure, but it's the best thing to do. If in doubt, get it out.
Baines throw, McFadden's twist, and Anyukov took his ankle away from beneath him.
Well, it's like that these days. If you're a defender these days and you stick a leg out, there's every chance that people are going to take full advantage. He was caught, but he made sure he went down as well, McFadden.
Well, now this is a promising position for Everton. Arteta can feed this in. And, he drove it into what he must have seen as a gap inside the near post wall, knowing that the worst case scenario was a corner, and that's what he's got. Arteta again, and they'll get a third go. Mikel Arteta punched out as far as McFadden, who couldn't set himself for a shot. Levered back in by Pinar. Here's Cahill! Tries of handball. He's given it. And he's off. Lombert's head in hands. Can't believe that the punishment is that harsh. He's even claiming that he didn't handle. The flashpoint of the game, potentially the turning point of the game, and I'm not sure he did.
That's a shocker of a decision. I mean, I couldn't tell first off, but the replay suggests that he's got it somewhere around the midriff, and I think it's a scandalous decision, but the referee made his mind up very quickly.
It is a desperate, desperate decision. Lomberts did not handle, and he has been sent off, and Mikel Arteta against a now reduced Zenit St. Petersburg side has the chance to establish at the Gladys Street end a lead for Everton. He scored a penalty at Nuremberg last month. Arteta, I have to say there's some justice there.
Yeah, I go along with that as well. I mean, obviously Everton will not be happy that that's gone over. It would have put him in a very commanding position with Zenit just having gone down to 10 men. But that was a bit wild from Arteta. You don't expect that from him.
It was an almost sympathetic penalty strike from the man from San Sebastian. Lifted into the supporters behind the goal, but that is a resigned smile from Dick Advocat. He'll have seen it all in club and international football. He'll have heard players come off saying, "Boss, I really didn't." But on that occasion, Lomberts really didn't.
No, he didn't. And unless officials are absolutely 100% sure, Peter, they shouldn't give those. Now, I don't know whether the assistant on this near side flagged and actually tried to make him give it, but it's a wrong decision.
Everton's penalty habit isn't a very good one in Europe. Andy Johnson missed a couple earlier in the competition against the Ukrainian team Metalist on what was a pretty uproarious night then as well. And Everton still squeaked through, and now Arteta has missed one, and he has this free kick. Johnson looking to flick it on. Jagielka, Baines, Pinar, Arteta with a little debt that he owes the side now. Hanikov behind.
And as you would have expected, Timoshuk, who anchors the midfield normally for Zenit, has just slipped into the centre-back position now alongside Skirtle.
In by Arteta. And onto the roof of the net by Jagielka. Well, there's still an ongoing inquiry from Advocat and others. It's knee, then chest and behind. And this was behind as well. Head in hands all round. All round. Nobody's entirely happy at the end of all that.
I didn't comment on it at the time, Peter, but Cahill did brilliantly to get there. Lovely little ball from Pinar to get him in, but the keeper has had a nightmare for me coming off the bench. I think he contributed to all of that. Stay on his line, none of that happens. He didn't need to make that burst. If you come off your line like that, you've got to get there.
Arteta. After the ball had gone, and the referee is going back to his pocket. And showing another yellow. Sherrill, the offender.
It's not a nice one, Sherrill.
Sorry about that. That's very good, Jim. It's 2 yellows and a red. for Zenit St. Petersburg, but still no breakthrough for Everton against 10 men. McFadden and Arteta made a pig's ear of the free kick. Dominguez. Pogrebniak. And still. And set back for Arshavin, who drove it into a crowd of Evertonian defenders.
He wanted a handball as well, Arshavin.
Well, I hope for the referee's sake that that wasn't. Pogrebniak. Let's have a look at this one. Was Jagielka guilty?
Well, I mean, it came at such pace, I don't think he could have gotten out of the way, but does it catch him on the arm? It might have, you know. I think he's trying to get it out of the way, though, isn't he?
Johnson. He's been caught now, and Zenit St. Petersburg, I think, feeling a degree of injustice, and certainly getting on the wrong side of the referee, are in danger of getting overly ragged here and overly physical.
Yeah, we just saw Timashuk again there playing centre-back, and basically Zirianov has dropped into his position to try and reshuffle things and just keep them defensively decent across midfield.
Arteta's gone for goal! Oh! What an effort by Malafeyev to get across, but what a strike! What a strike from Arteta! Corner hasn't gone so well. Arshavin foul.
You know what I'm thinking now, don't you? Why couldn't he have done that from 12 yards? And he definitely would have scored. Everybody's waiting for the cross, and the keeper nearly got caught out. Does well enough in the end, but I think the keeper gets lucky, because look at the area he's knocked it back into. Defence did well to follow it up first.
Well, that's what he's got. And some credit to Malafeyev for making up an awful lot of ground. That is vision. See how far Malafeyev had to come here. 1, 2, 3, 4 steps and a touch onto the bar. Neville. McFadden, nice. Skirted across in front of Johnson. Last 9 minutes of a first half, not without talking points. McFadden, Arteta. McFadden. Neville looking to wind it up. Everton attempting some sort of a power play here against the reduced opposition.
That's given them fresh impetus. They needed it.
On by McFadden, Malafeyev came, Anyukov away. Arshavin only picked out Carsley. Cahill for Carsley! Has hit the post! And McFadden. And Timashuk away.
I'm delighted he hit it, Lee Carsley, because for a moment I thought, is he going to fancy this on his left foot? But he didn't even try to smack it, he just passed it.
On by McFadden, and Malafeyev has it. That has gone down. Quite why, wasn't immediately apparent.
Well, I think you're going to see a little bit of this now. There is a boot there, isn't it? Andy Johnson has caught him, certainly on the hip.
Johnson's boot was high, actually, unnecessarily.
Well, how good is this? I'm thinking, is he going or is he going to pass it? It's just beautiful. That is so unlucky from Carsley. I just love the way he just tried to side foot it into the corner. Oh, deserved better.
And the sort of player who, for all his industry, his unnoticed industry, deserves his moment from time to time. Lee Carsley. Andy Johnson, though, has been booked for his upraised studs at the goalkeeper Malafeyev. it's turning this, and here is illustration of it, into a bit of a feisty game. This.
He's been treated for a position higher than I thought as well. It seems to be his upper arm.
Fully meriting that caution. Now there has been another goal in this group, and it is a significant one. Alkmaar have scored in Nuremberg. If AZ Alkmaar win that game, and they are leading 1-0 as you see, then they knock out Nuremberg, and qualification will be confirmed for Everton, Zenit and for AZ. And after that we'll all be jockeying for position tonight and on the final match night. So that is a goal of which both Zenit St. Petersburg and Everton would approve. But in the UEFA Cup, perhaps even more than in the Champions League, the position you finish in the group is of quite some significance. About which more perhaps later. Here though is Arteta for Baines, and Baines for Pienaar. Tackled by Schirl. Up by Zirianov. Arshavin. Dominguez. Holding off Carsley. And getting away from Neville, who hung out a foot. Arshavin wanted to take a quick free kick. Cahill stopped him from doing that.
Yeah, he's done well to hold on to it. It's a good flick, and Phil Neville certainly catches him across the shins.
Now I might be wrong, but my money is on Timoshuk here, who has a ferocious drive and is prepared to give it a crack from this sort of range. It's not the only one, but he hits the back of the net with a penalty as if he's going to burst the net, and from long range he does something similar. There's Neville's foul, no question about the award. Howard with 5 or so minutes to see out a clean sheet first half here. He had to go through a late fitness test this evening. He was unwell yesterday. Pogrebniak from one side, Timoshuk from the other, the potential strikers. It's Pogrebniak against the wall. Came out to Schirl, cleared by Lescott. Back in by Schirl, and Neville squeezes it out of play, and goes through a little bit of afters with Kim.
Dominguez is still down, Peter. He's still feeling the effects of the Phil Neville challenge.
Suggesting that he's going to need a stretcher to be withdrawn.
To be honest, I think these injuries to the goalkeeper, Malafev before now, Dominguez, is helping their cause. You know, just to slow things down, take that momentum away again from Everton. He was definitely caught, and caught quite hard by Phil Neville. I mean, I think yellow cards have been issued for less in this game.
Well, Dick Advocat was broadly uncomplimentary about English football in general, English club football, and Everton specifically last night, when he said that they were long ball and physical, and all of those stereotypical things that people sometimes say about English football. But I'm bound to say that Zenit have been the match of Everton in terms of physicality tonight, and their preparedness to tackle vigorously. But his sense of injustice must be considerable at the moment. Zenit wrongly down to 10 men, albeit that Arteta couldn't convert a penalty, and at least in the short term down to 9 men now, because Dominguez is having to go off.
I mean, great confidence after winning the Russian Premier League, but your final game of the season and you're down to 10 men, you're going to have to try and put this work in, something they didn't want.
Pogrebniak, Neville, Cahill, Carsley, Baines, caught up by Arshavin, Anyukov bombing up from full back, well seen by Leighton Baines.
Good recovery that by Baines.
Arteta, Cahill, it's a good ball, Johnson. Coming away from Zirianov. And Johnson's won a corner.
just noticed Julian Leska again up there. I mean, he's got a great record. He's a very dangerous player to come up from the back on set pieces. At 5 he's got this season.
He has. He'll score for a little while. He's due one. Cahill, goalkeeper, committed and having fallen eventually on the ball. And Cahill getting involved now with Skirtle.
I think he just wanted to offer the goalkeeper his hand. It's very, very tight, and there's a defensive block before it gets near the keeper. It was that little reaction with his right foot that they reacted to.
Neville. But Dominguez has disappeared down the tunnel now. And, there are 3 minutes of stoppage time to play. Zenit St. Petersburg look as though they're going to play them with 9 men here. Arteta. No sign at the moment that they're going to throw on a substitute for Dominguez. Perhaps they want to get him right for the second half. Here is Shirl. Ziryanov and Kim. Carsley's back. Cahill. Baines. Pienaar. Jagielka. Everton looking to stretch their beleaguered opponents here. Neville. So Jagielka wasted the opportunity.
Didn't have to do that because Pienaar made a great run across the box and was available if he'd got his head up, Jagielka.
Zenit are now going to replace Dominguez, who had to go off on a stretcher. He's being replaced, as you see, by Alexander Gorshkov, the veteran in the Zenit side, 37 years old, one of those old enough to have international caps both for Russia and the Ukraine. Cahill. Arteta. Neville. McFadden. Going to roll it in for Johnson. Arshavin.
Everton on this recent run have been much improved in terms of their possession and their movement. I think that has to carry on now, that has to continue. They can't fall into the trap of just kind of trying to lump it up to both McFadden and Johnson.
McFadden's offside. Referee's assistant waiting for him to become active. Hence the slight delay. McFadden is convinced that he began his run from an onside position. Gorshkov. It's gone away from Arshavin.
Well, for a while earlier in the half, before they went down to 10 men, I mean, their possession looked quite decent, Zenit, but it's gone now. I mean, Arshavin and Pogrebny are going to have to work very hard to try and hold it up for him. Everton have just got to keep working it, and you would feel that if they continue to do that second half, Peter, a goal will come.
Well, it's competitive, all right. Indeed, it's a good old-fashioned dust-up, and none the worse for that. Mikel Arteta might have established a lead for Everton after an unjust award of a penalty against Zenit St. Petersburg, who had a man sent off wrongly by the Icelandic referee. As it turned out, though, Matt, It is everything but the goal. Thank you, Matt. Just to stick the whole thing into context, as things stand at the moment, if this game were to end in a draw, and Mikel Arteta is certainly one who hopes it doesn't, if it ends in a draw and AZ Alkmaar win the other game in the group, then Everton, AZ and Zenit will all have qualified tonight, and Everton will dispute the #1 place with AZ Alkmaar when they go head-to-head on the final day of this group. And by the variable standards of the UEFA Cup, this has always looked a pretty demanding group. Everton top 6 in the English Premier League, Nuremberg top 6 in the Bundesliga and looking as though they might go out. AZ Alkmaar finished 3rd in Holland, and they're only just behind PSV and Ajax, and these, the new Russian champions, not to mention Larissa, who of course knocked out Blackburn. It was a tall order. There was always going to be a major club that dropped out of it. But it appears that that is not going to be Everton, as Anyukov delivers the first cross of the second half. Looking forward from a right full back, as he'll have to whenever he gets an opportunity so to do, with the Russian team, of course, reduced rather harshly by one man. And Jim, how would Everton go about playing against 10 men, do you think?
Urgency, high tempo. I mean, Alan Stubbs said it before, there's got to be a patience to the play as well. Don't allow frustration to creep in. But I just think the Everton front five now, if the passing and the movement stays bright, I think eventually they wear down the 10 men.
Here's Pienaar and Arteta, tackled by Zirianov, held up by Pogrebniak. Carsley, McFadden, Johnson was coming back from offside, and you'll probably know there's one game in the Barclays Premier League this evening. It's at St James's Park, and half-time it's Newcastle United 0, Arsenal 1, Emmanuel Adebayor with a very early goal in that game. David Moyes on safer ground at the moment than Sam Allardyce up at Newcastle. 5.5-year career at Everton, still ongoing. This is his 250th game in charge. He's doing things in round numbers, in that he has won 100 games, he's drawn 59 and he's lost 90 games. So if this ends in a draw, it'll all work out very nicely. But here is McFadden and here is Johnson, and they fell over each other in their eagerness to get there.
Well, McFadden's having a go at the referee, and I don't think it's for Andy Johnson's part in all of that. I think he felt he was pulled or pushed by Skirtle. I think then he lost his balance, bumped into Johnson, and by then the keeper had reacted to it. Chance.
They've certainly had chances. Neville, McFadden. Skirtle. Arteta. Neville. By Gorshkov. Pienaar. In by Baines, and McFadden was flying at it. It was stolen off his toe.
I mean, Baines does really, really well. A little overlap, just waited for the pass. It's a good ball in, maybe just slightly behind McFadden. Can't quite wrap his foot round it.
Plenty of chances created by Everton. McFadden has had more than one glimpse at goal. Arteta and Carsley have both hit the frame of the goal. Arteta, if you're joining us late, flung a penalty over the crossbar midway through the first half. There's still no breakthrough. Gorshkov.
You know, David Moyes as well can wait 10-15 minutes, and if it doesn't change, then he has a customer on the bench. He's doing pretty well in the UEFA Cup when he's come off it. Victor Anichebe.
Yes, there he is. He has Yakubu and Anichebe. Anichebe has scored from the bench in each of the last 3 UEFA Cup ties. Cahill with the assurance and self-confidence to dribble across the edge of his own penalty area.
Oh, but it's conceivable, Peter, that the Russians could just retreat in the second half, just start to drop a little bit deeper to defend things if it remains 0-0. If that's the case, it's not going to suit Andy Johnson, who likes to get in over the top. So the power of Ilichavi might just be a bigger factor in things.
Jagielka. Neville. In by Cahill. On by Arteta. Taken up by Johnson, who's pushed wide by Timoshuk. Jagielka. Johnson. Joined by Gorshkov, the veteran substitute. On by Cahill. Arshavin. Pogrebniak has got goal side here, and this is dangerous for Everton. It's a very good save by Howard. Well, a man light, but they've got a man in front of Everton's back four there in Pogrebniak, and the American goalkeeper had to come to Everton's rescue.
It was good football all round for me. I thought Arshavin, the pass here is just timed to perfection for the run of Pogrebniak, just behind Jagielka, and it's good goalkeeping because he stood up to it. The angle was always against the striker, probably slightly favoured Howard, and that's still a good stop. And that's an intriguing part of this game that I'm sure will develop during the second half, because they're good on the ball, Zenit, and the break is always on like that. And somebody like Arshavin who can pass the ball in that fashion, then every chance they could get in again.
Shook again, cross in his new position of centre-half. The most expensive player in the Russian league when he moved from Shakhtar Donetsk for something in the region of £10 million. Johnson twisting. Gorshkov in the way. Arshavin. Neville.
Good.
Down the line for McFadden. Kept it there again by Timoshuk. So this personifies the growing wealth of this nouveau riche Russian club. Neville and Cahill. And Baines. Right the way across. Johnson couldn't apply a touch, nor could McFadden, and Kim watched it behind for a corner.
Well, Skirtle was the one that could easily have got something on it. It's a smashing ball in between goalkeeper and defence.
Arteta's corner. Pogrebniak away. Everton now trying to ratchet it up. Arteta. Lescott! Had a good look at it.
Yeah, I think he's penalised for just a little nudge on Skirtle just before he tried to get off the ground. Just watch it here as he attacks it. Is he just climbing on him? Maybe harshly given. I'm not sure there was a lot in that.
Julian Lescott has a bit of a personal agenda tonight, having been in that England side and suffered in that England side that went to Moscow and lost. And there are one or two against who he is directly playing tonight, including this man Arshavin, who's played it through for Zenit. You know, they've had the best two chances of the second half.
Common denominator, Arshavin. Absolutely brilliant spot again, Peter. This guy's a really class act. Just look at the run. Zurianov, and you know all he's got to do, and I know it's always easy from up here, if he's had a little look at Howard, just a little think, go for the lob. Why he decided to blast it that high, I don't know.
Well, he is the one, and those are the two, he and Zurianov, who really gave England and Lescott problems. Here's McFadden, towed away by Timoshuk.
Good game now, very good.
To give immense credit to Zenit St. Petersburg for the way they're going about this with 10 men. Arteta's corner, and Lescott again. Says he thinks it got a deflection, but it's not a convincing appeal.
Again, Skirtle is the one, the centre-back, who's picking him up when he comes up for the corners. Does it hit him? Yeah, it might have just glanced off the big fella. Might get a better look at it now. He strikes, might have just caught him shoulder, head area.
Daniel Lescott, who scored 5 goals in the first 11 games of his season, but has scored not one in the last 10. They've dried up a bit. A generally free scoring centre half. Anyukov, Arshavin, always danger when he has the ball. Pogrebniak. It's taken 3 of them to dispossess him. And now Lescott has played it long. And Malafeyev came to gather it. Errant header. Howard and Lescott conversing about it. Has a 6-inch advantage plus hands over little Arshavin, so it was always going to be all right.
Yeah, Pogrebniak might have been just slightly harder for him, but yeah, he's too small.
Jagielka for Arteta. Johnson. Arteta's delightful ball, Neville dashing onto it.
A good idea. I mean, clever little ball from Arteta, good spot, and I think that's required as well. If it's on for Phil Neville, Leighton Baines, get up and support.
Arshavin. Good tackle by Lescott. Johnson couldn't take his pass. Timoshuk. Gorshkov. Jagielka away. Obviously always second favourite. Wasn't a great pass from Jagielka. Here's Gorshkov. And there goes Kim. Too much on it for Pogrebniak. Baines. McFadden. Pienaar. Tackled by Skirtle.
It's fantastic work rate from Zenit, you know, and I mean getting players forward as well. They really are backing the play up.
There's no way they're on holiday, is there?
It's very impressive from them.
It is an end-of-term fixture for Zenit St. Petersburg, who finished their UEFA Cup group tonight. That's why the point is such an important one for them. 5 might not be enough to get them through. Here's Johnson. Here's Cahill. And his pressure earned the corner.
That's a good ball back from Johnson. I mean, that's what he likes to do on the last man. Is he offside? And he's always going to kind of risk that. But he pulled it back well. It was intelligent because he had only Pienaar in support.
Arteta's corner. Pogrebniak missed it. Lescott couldn't take it. Turned back for Pienaar, who's got it all wrong.
Yeah, and I think for somebody trying to get a strike in quickly like that, I think when you know somebody's rushing towards you, as Ziryanov did, there's always that little bit of doubt as to whether you're going to get your shot away. Oh gee, he did go to the ground early. No, not his best, Pienaar.
Again, to re-emphasise what a win for Everton would mean, given that a point here for Zenit St. Petersburg, the way the other game is, would secure 3rd position for them, so 3rd would no longer be available. AZ against Everton on the final match day will decide who won and got a comfortable draw and who had to take one of the Champions League dropouts in the knockout stage. Neville having to get across in front of Pogrebniak there. But what a win for Everton tonight would do would be that it would give them the draw in Holland, as opposed to needing to go out there and win, potentially.
It's going to be in the middle of a tough period as well. 2 away games to West Ham and then follow Alkmaar with away to Man United. 4 away in succession.
And after a home game against Fulham this weekend. Pienaar, Cahill, Arteta, Neville going wide of it. Arteta coming inside, dragging it wide.
Well, he did his best to persuade the referee that got a little touch on the way, but I think it's good composure as well to feint the shoot with the right and then come inside on the left. Does well to create that space. He's just dragged it a little, no touch.
Might come up against the Russians in Austria and Switzerland this coming summer, Mikel Arteta, if he can convince the Spanish national setup that he's worthy of his place. Russia in a group with Spain and Greece and Sweden. 3 of those 4 were together in Portugal last time round. familiar group. Through by Cahill. St. Petersburg are preparing a change. The giant Norwegian Erik Hagen is preparing to come on. One of those about whom it's said, if he tackles you, you stay tackled. Smart from Arshavin. Hurried from Karsley. Met it on halfway, Zirianov. The right back is at the moment in the inside right channel. It's how adventurous they're being. Had Pinar taken it away from Arshavin, then he might have paid for that adventure.
I thought Belletti of Chelsea got forward a lot, but this fella Anyakov just masquerades as a fullback. Never been a fullback. He's always bombing on.
You know, the team a man short. It's a great adventure.
That's a great weapon to have, that kind of athleticism and that stamina to just keep on doing it. Like Cahill, Milan, saw him last night, still going strong at 37.
Zirianov, Cahill. Skreton. There's another 37-year-old Gorshkov. Here comes that anticipated change before the throw, and as mentioned, it is Erik Hagen, who has played European football in the past in this country, replacing Pogrebniak, who had a great chance to score. This fella has played for Strømsgodset at Villa Park, a tie which Aston Villa won over in Norway, courtesy of a Stan Collymore hat-trick, and he's played for Vålerenga at Newcastle. And those are his supporters tonight, 150 to 200 of them. Come an awful long way, and would take some pride, I'm sure, in the way their team is going about its business with 10 men.
And he's dropped into centre-back, and he's basically he told Timashuk just to ease forward into your old position again.
Relatively mild December evening here, and you saw some of those supporters from Russia in short sleeves. Summertime for them. Neville. Arteta. Neville. Drifted in towards Johnson. There is flagged offside.
I think he might have penalised him for handball, you know. He likes to do that, the referee, it seems. Yeah, it does strike Andy Johnson on you. Again, not deliberate, but at least that did hit somebody on the arm.
Helps. He's refereed in this country before as well, Mr. Jakobsen, just once before, very early round of the UEFA Cup at Newcastle last year against Levadia Tallinn. But this is only his 12th European club match in all competitions, and a lot of those have been Intertoto games. Arteta. It's up against McFadden and or Cahill, they were the two furthest forward. And there is an upcoming change for Everton, and it may be that James McFadden is about to look up and see his number. Yes, he is. McFadden being withdrawn and replaced by the European super sub. There's a certain amount of warmth for McFadden, but there's an awful lot for this fella, who has scored in the last 3 UEFA Cup games running, all as substitute, all of his goals coming in the last 5 minutes of the game. He started the derby game here against Liverpool the last time Everton lost on October the 20th, but in 8 games since, he's only been involved in the League Cup tie at Luton. Apart, of course, from European action. Lescott. Forward by Baines. Jagielka. Taken away by Kim.
I'm just looking forward to the first clash between Anichebe and Hagen.
I think we'll feel it. Best to let them get on with it, I think. You wouldn't want to stand between them. Pienaar. Carsley. Touch back by Cahill for Arteta. Cahill again. Pienaar. Baines going wide of him. Taking a man away. Pienaar delivering. Away by Skirtle and then Timoshuk. And then Cyril. Arshavin is after it. Lescott cuts him off at the pass. The referee's assistant looked as though he was going to raise a flag and then changed his mind.
Good defending, both ends. Skirtle brilliant with his header because Andy Johnson was in just behind him, and that's excellent from Lescott.
Cahill. Baines. Goodison raising the noise now, and Baines raising the shot a long way over the bar.
Just went for a little too much power behind it, Leighton Baines, and just ended up getting underneath it. I mean, I've got to admit it, I've done this kind of thing myself in my time. Just try and give it a bit too much whip. That's brilliant. I mean, you know, no wonder this guy got capped for his country not so long ago. He's right up there for Everton Player of the Year already. Outstanding season he's having.
I think anyone who sees him play regularly hopes that just because he did get capped at an unfortunate time for the England side, and it didn't all go swimmingly, that it won't be the end of things for him. I'm sure it won't. Here's Anichebe. Challenge from Hagen.
But you can see his reaction. Anichebe is a little annoyed with himself because he didn't dispatch the shot sooner and he allowed the centre-back a chance to get out. Hagen did well.
Arteta. Fetched by Pienaar and hit by Jagielka. And clutched by Malafeyev.
The sting was taken out of it, heading wide and easy enough for the goalkeeper in the end. I mean, we've seen quite a lot of pressure from Everton's second half, but nothing really clear-cut. And I think that's why you saw Anichebe's introduction.
Well, the 2 clear-cut chances of the second half have gone to Zenit.
I think that's why Dick Advocat made the change, Peter, because I think he thinks that they can nick this 1-0 by sticking Timoshuk back into midfield and try and get them linking up with Arshavin again.
Anichebe. Pienaar. Johnson couldn't get there, and there's an increasing anxiety inside Goodison now. An irritation that this breakthrough just won't come.
Yeah, and you can't really blame Pienaar. I think this is a good little ball in.
Moyes up on his feet now. A few nails being bitten. Baines fell on Gorshkov. Timoshuk. Close to Gorshkov.
Yeah, he couldn't be sure that Everton player just in front wasn't going to get the touch. He just didn't anticipate it early enough, Gorshkov. So every time those Zenit fans start bouncing up and down, we're shaking away here on this country.
Feel it. That's right. They've come in as good a number as they possibly can. You stick St Petersburg to Liverpool into your RAC route planner, and it offers you a 2,010-mile journey via Estonia, Sweden, Denmark, Harwich and the M6. It says it should take 83 hours and 50 minutes. Most of that's the M6, by the way. I'd fly if I was you. Let's go. Arteta. And by Neville. Anichebe. Back to Zurianov. It's a foul by Pinar. Well, an important goal in the Premier League up in the northeast. Perhaps not the one you'd expect. Certainly not the score you'd expect. As Pinar's challenge, and there's the score at St James's. It's Newcastle 1, Arsenal 1. Stephen Taylor with the equaliser. And a little bit of light relief for Sam Allardyce and co. Johnson. Goes Hagen.
Yeah, multi-ball system in play, you know. Just getting on with it. That's exactly what Everton want. Get it back in play as quickly as you can.
Arteta's ball in. Lefebvre's claim. Well, a lot of what they've done well in Europe this year, Everton, they've done very late. It's going to have to be the same story again. It's a massive clearance from Malafeyev. Too great, possibly caught on the wind. Let's go. Well, now he's in trouble, he's got a long way to get back. Zurianov, Arshavin. Zurianov.
Well, you didn't expect that. Somebody with his ability overrunning it like that. But you know what I love about Arshavin? If it's on, just give it. Just watch this. One touch, have it back again. It's just simple. He doesn't complicate the game.
The little number 10 is an outstanding passer, creator, inventor. He actually made his debut for Zenit St Petersburg in this country at Bradford City in the Intertoto Cup. There you are. Neville. They went through. So Bradford was the good Bradford side, the one that included Stuart McCall, a great Evertonian. Here's Pinar, and here's Anichebe looking to turn with muscle. And then to turn it behind Cahill.
I'm surprised there wasn't a bit more movement. I mean, even Baines could have taken a gamble and gotten into the box. Everton were a little bit static, you know. Cahill was the only one made the move and everybody else was stood still.
Arshavin. All the way through for Schürrle. Baines towards the last quarter hour now. And from a positive perspective, Everton just more than a quarter of an hour away from the point that would take them through to the knockout stages of the UEFA Cup. Here's Pinar, but they want more than that. Touched out for Timoshuk. Anichebe is fouling Hagen, I think.
Yeah, the big Norwegian did very, very well to stay strong with him. I think Anichebe has got his match there. Powerful chap.
Really good support from relatively few who've travelled those 2,000 miles from St. Petersburg. And a very good noisy feel inside the whole ground, in fact, now.
They've a lot to be proud of, those fans, because I mean, a lot of Russian sides, when they hit the road, they're not the most resourceful, haven't got great resolve, and I think they sometimes kind of pack in a little too easily. Not this lot tonight. I've been impressed with their spirit and their character, this team.
It's extraordinary. We're seeing Spartak Moscow collapse in the Champions League at Anfield 3 or 4 years back when they lost 5-0. Didn't appear that interested. Gorshkov. There's Tangov Man. Russian version of Tango Man. He's hard. Or very, very stupid. Timoshuk. Out by Cahill. Long from Neville. Skirtle, the Slovakian centre-half, has had a very good game. He's a hefty fella, 6'3", and plenty broad enough as well. And not a lot has got past him. Arteta and Ichibi. Oh, well won by Baines and kept by Anichebe. And now poked out for Zirianov. Arshavin. Zirianov. Away from Carsley, he's going to try one. He's got it wrong.
It was worth it. I mean, he came inside and it opened up for him. There was nobody really making the attempt to close him down, so why not?
He's a player who for Russia actually got the ball in the Wembley net, Konstantin Zirianov, but he was ruled out for handball. Arteta. Carsley. Oh, why not?
I think that's a sign of Zenit's success second half, and how formidable they've been at the back and how difficult they've made it for Everton to find a gap and penetrate. And Lee Carsley, from that range, it's asking a lot.
Now, big night of boxing on Saturday night, ITV1, 9:55, see Amir Khan in his latest title defence. Sunday morning, Championship football, 9:25, also ITV1, the main game Charlton against Ipswich, and then a massive Champions League night on ITV1 next Tuesday evening, 7:30, Marseille against Liverpool. Your alternative that night is Chelsea-Valencia on ITV4. Valencia playing for a place in the UEFA Cup, actually. And here is a Zenit St. Petersburg change. And Anyukov has been withdrawn and replaced by a second Korean, Lee Ho.
Yeah, and they've just altered slightly. That means Gorshkov's going to drop to right back, and Lee Ho's going to play right side of midfield.
Well, it's extraordinary that this game hasn't had a goal yet. By hook or by crook, it hasn't. Anyukov, we're told, had an injury to his left thigh. And a very watchable game, actually. He's a forward-looking fullback. Who were involved in a goalless draw at Portsmouth at the weekend. 10 or 11 minutes away from another goalless draw here.
They've pounded away, Everton. I mean, their effort has been there, you can't fault them for that. They've applied themselves really well to it, but they've just lacked that little bit of guile second half to unlock a very resolute Zenit defence.
Cahill.
Maybe now.
Neville. Not yet. Timashuk got in the way. Arshavin with almost lazy pass. Kuryanov. First hint here that Zenit might be settling for what they've got. Maybe not though. Here's Arshavin, prepared to run at them. Kim. Arshavin. Cheryl. Arshavin. That's got away. Arteta. Well, Nietzsche be if he can keep it in. So they're going to make a change here. Interesting one, actually. James Vaughan has had a rotten recent spell with a couple of different injuries, one to his foot, one to his shoulder, just a couple of substitute appearances this campaign, but he's now going to make his European debut in place of Andy Johnson, who hasn't had much of a personal glimpse at goal for Everton.
Yeah, it's been a tough night for him. I'm McFadden.
But a big chance for him, he's still only 19. Seems to have been on the scene for a little while already. Neville. Given the air by Gorshkov. Followed out by Lee Ho. Kiryanov. It's not always apparent that Zenit St. Petersburg are a man short, you know. Cahill.
I just wonder whether Mr. Advocat will be stressing that again to just reinforce the point he made yesterday about the football played in Russia and the football he considers is played in this country.
Well, there's a little bit of evidence in his favour at the moment, isn't there?
This is an
Just this game, but the state of the
Mr.
nations.
Alan Wainwright of St. Helens.
They're going to Austria,
Please
we're not.
contact his nearest police officer or head steward. I repeat, Mr. Alan Wainwright of St. Helens, please contact your nearest head steward or police officer. Thank you.
There is Dick Advocat, who isn't short of an opinion, but isn't short of considerable experience with which to back up that opinion. 60 now.
I wouldn't like a row with him.
Lescott. Hit it early for Anichebe, well seen by Hagen. Timashuk. Neville. Cahill. Neville. Cahill. Arteta. Neville. Corner.
Yeah, the most important thing for Neville was making sure he didn't stray offside. Did that, but the closing down was really, really good from Zenit again. 2 or 3 were there trying to stop him.
Neville with Loft. Away by Gorshkov.
Tell you, Peter, they go asleep though when they concede a corner. They all turn their back on it, you know, and just leave 2 Everton players to get on with it.
Carsley. Lesker. Jagielka. Neville. Arteta. Spooned in for Lesker. Wide again for Neville. Neville to sit one up. Struck by Arteta. Struck by Carsley. Vaughan couldn't strike. And Hagen cleared. They are pummeling away now. Lesker allowed to go on. Corner. Last off Timashuk.
Really well, Lescott. And he just stayed up there and thought, why not?
Arteta's corner, Lescott's header, Lescott! What a stop! And turned in by Cahill! There's a bit of a rock that follows it, but following the rock, the party, the man, Tim Cahill.
And the boxing celebration.
Somehow fitting today.
Yeah. Well, in some ways it's deserved, because Everton have kept going. The keeper does brilliantly to save it, and he just can't react in time. And Cahill, he's incredible for this sort of thing. The ball seems to be drawn to him. I mean, he's in the perfect position to finish it off. Gets a little bit lucky. Keeper does well, but what happens then? Does the keeper have a little pop at Cahill? You know, there was an altercation certainly once the ball had hit the net. Yeah, he held on to him.
But Cahill wasn't going to be prevented from enjoying the moment ultimately. It is extraordinary for Tim Cahill, his 6th goal in 9 games since returning from that long absence. Lescott helped it on its way. His part in the scoring of the goal shouldn't be underestimated. It was a wonderful save too in the first instance by Malafeyev, but all to no avail. And Everton's persistence has finally been rewarded. High foot from Vaughan. Kim. Shiro. Arshavin. Away by Baines. Now then, really dramatic news from Germany, when Nuremberg have come from behind and lead Alkmaar by 2 goals to 1. If Everton win and Nuremberg win, then Everton win the group tonight. It's not such good news for Zenit St. Petersburg, but 2 of the other 3, 2 of Zenit, AZ and Nuremberg will go through with Everton. But if Everton win and Nuremberg win, then Everton can go to Alkmaar in relaxed mode. It would be Everton 9 points, Zenit having finished their campaign on 5 points, and AZ and Nuremberg with a game each left on 4. And of course, ironically, what it means is that Zenit could do with a favour from Everton when they go to Holland. So they do well to shake hands after shaking each other's necks on the final whistle.
Oh, what a bonus for Everton. I mean, if they can win the group, if they can see it through now, win the group, then fantastic all round. Last thing they wanted was to finish second and risk picking up a team dropping out of the Champions League.
Well, as long as Everton hold on to Tim Cahill's goal, then they almost certainly have won the group now, because even if it's a draw in Nuremberg, if Everton win, Everton have won the group. So they can afford an Alkmaar equaliser. What they can't quite afford is a Zenit St. Petersburg equaliser. 2.5 minutes to play here.
And no Julian Lescott coming up for this, and no surprise in that either.
But Cahill's in the mix, and Ichibi's there, Vaughan is waiting. Carsley's letting the clock tick down. Arteta's playing it in. Error away by the excellent Skirtle. And Neville has won a corner. Again by Skirtle. Carsley. Neville. Arteta. Leighton Baines can strike from here. He's had a go. Well, the last time Everton played a European football match on the business side of Christmas was in Rotterdam when they won the European Cup Winners' Cup 22 years ago. They are earning the right to another game in Europe at a time of the season when it really starts to matter. A minute plus stoppage time to play. Flicked on again by Lescott. There are going to be 3 additional minutes here.
That near post position for Lescott again, which contributed to the goal.
The last post-Christmas European games at Goodison were that never-to-be-forgotten quarter-final here against Fortuna Sittard, in which Andy Gray scored a hat-trick, and the semi-final against Bayern Munich that year, which they won 3-1. Gray, Sharp and Steven, great names of your generation, Jim, immediate rivals of yours back in 1985. And there are Evertonians who believe that that game against Bayern Munich represents Everton's best ever Goodison night. Well, they may get a chance to rival it. Baines.
I guess it was always likely as well, Peter, that it might be a set piece that did the business for Everton, because in open play they struggled to break Zenit down, and I do feel for Zenit, because they shouldn't have had a man sent off in the first half, and considering the chances they've had second half and the work the 10 players have put in, it is hard on them. As much as Everton have kept going, it is very, very hard on the visitors.
It is terrific for Everton that in all probability now they're going to win this group, and that means that in the draw, which is made on the last Friday before Christmas, 21st of December, they will be drawn with the away leg to play second against a team that finishes third in the UEFA Cup group. It's all working out for them on the night after a hugely frustrating period for the bulk of the game.
I wouldn't be surprised to hear David Moyes comment on that actually after the match, how hard his players had to work to try and get the win.
Absolutely right, but what a bonus for him that in that really busy period to which you referred, Jim, he may be able to rest a few for Alkmaar. Here's Arteta, and here's Neville. Partially up by Skirtle, bounced off Arteta. Neville thought it was going to be his ball. In fact, it's given the other way. Little matter. Breakaway equaliser would upset the balance for Everton now. Just need to keep the door shut for a minute more.
It was the Zirianov chance, wasn't it? I mean, Pogrebniak was difficult. I think the angle was against him. Howard Wall was fancy to save it, but Zirianov a little more composure and every chance.
There is Zirianov. Here's Lee Ho. And Timoshuk drove it against Cahill, who's been poleaxed and stayed down. Sherrill couldn't keep it alive.
Well, you did say early on that Timoshuk can really hit them, and I think Cahill's just found that out.
Timoshuk has finished in Germany. Nuremberg have beaten Alkmaar. 10 seconds to play here. Lescott has stolen it away from Arshavin. Time is just about up. He's going to finish on top. He doesn't know it yet, but Everton are through. Everton are group winners. Everton are played 3-1-3 in Europe this season, and for the first time in a generation, Everton will play European football after Christmas. That is what they have to look forward to now, courtesy of Tim Cahill's late winner on a night of trauma and drama, a sending off, a missed penalty, the thumping of post and bar, only one rippling of the net, but it was enough. The Australian achieved it, and Everton win on the night by 1-0.